It begins with silence. A man rides alone through the Carolina lowcountry, the fog thick and alive around him, carrying voices that do not belong to the living. When he does not arrive in Charleston by morning, his name is written in the ledger of the lost. He is not the first, he will not be the last. His final stop, they say, was at a roadside inn kept by a woman whose smile was warm, whose eyes were cold. Her name, Lavinia Fisher, and in 1847, Charleston would discover that some doors should never have been opened. Charleston in the mid-19th century prided itself on refinement. Gas lamps burning along King Street, carriages rattling over cobblestone, churches pealing solemn bells. Yet beneath its manicured surface lay festering wounds. The city was built on slavery, cruelty, and unspeakable wealth wrung from suffering. Those who disappeared along the highways were dismissed as drifters, vagabonds, men no one important would miss. But patterns whispered themselves into being, letters unanswered, horses wandering without riders, and always a single name, Fisher. 6 miles outside Charleston stood the Fisher House, an inn for weary travelers. Wooden shutters closed against the swamp winds, a place that promised rest, yet reeked faintly of something sweet, metallic, and sour. Guests remembered the tea Lavinia served, steeped in an old porcelain pot. Many never finished their cup, some never woke. By 1847, locals whispered that the house was cursed, but no one dared move against the family, for the Fishers had friends in the church, in the courts, in the sheriff's own home. Lavinia Fisher was no common innkeeper's wife. To the men who stumbled across her threshold, she appeared radiant, ivory skin, raven hair pulled tight, a gaze that seemed to pierce. She would ask questions, always the same. Where do you come from? Who will know if you do not return? Her victims mistook her curiosity for charm. Only when their limbs grew heavy, when the room swayed, when their voices broke in confusion, did they realize what had been placed into their drink. On the edge of the inn's property, in earth slick with Carolina humidity, small depressions marred the soil. Some travelers spoke of seeing men dig at night by lantern light, the air filled with a sweetness like rotting magnolia. No markers, no crosses, only shallow mounds that sank over time. By 1847, whispers claimed more than 40 men lay beneath that earth. The law did not come. The church remained silent. Charleston had no room for ghosts. Less known, and almost never spoken of, was the connection between the Fishers and the local orphanage run by St. Matthew's Parish. Records showed strange donations, trunks of men's clothing, boots of all sizes, gold pocket watches placed discreetly into church hands. The children wore garments that smelled faintly of tobacco, sweat, and fear. None questioned. In Charleston, charity covered sins more effectively than the grave. Not all died. A handful of men, too young, too strong, or saved by some cruel miracle, stumbled from the inn poisoned but alive. Their testimonies were scattered, inconsistent, filled with trembling claims of rooms that shifted in size, of Lavinia's voice echoing in their heads even after escape. One swore he awoke in a cellar surrounded by faces he could not see, only hear, whispering his name. He died a week later, raving. When investigators later attempted to trace these accounts, they found parish records missing, coroner's reports torn, entire newspapers scrubbed clean of mention. It was as if Charleston itself willed the memory away, refusing to stain its own beauty with truth. A deeper question arose: who was protecting Lavinia Fisher, and why? It was not simply poison. Those who studied what little evidence remained claimed the tea held herbs not native to Caroline, imported roots used in Haitian rites, bitter leaves rumored to open a doorway between worlds. Lavinia did not simply kill, she harvested. Each sip bound the victim in a paralysis that looked like death, though the heart still beat, slow and painful. How many men lay in the Fisher cellar breathing faintly, waiting to be buried alive? John Fisher, her husband, was always nearby, hauling wood, tending horses, silent as shadow. Some argued he was the true murderer, Lavinia merely the mask. Others swore his eyes carried terror when he looked at her, that he was bound by something older than marriage. Witnesses claimed they saw him digging alone in the rain, muttering prayers, as if the earth itself resisted the weight of new bodies. In 1847, a traveling peddler vanished and his brother came searching. What he found, according to the only surviving account, was a hidden chamber beneath the inn, carved in brick, lined with straw mats, shackles embedded in the wall, bowls of clotted tea left unfinished. And on the floor, a notebook filled with careful handwriting, not business records, names, dates, weary travelers marked in red ink. Some were crossed out, others left unfinished. Locals living near 6 Mile House reported hearing cries carried on the swamp wind at night. Long draw, out wails that no living man could sustain. Dogs refused to approach, horses reared, yet the Fishers slept peacefully, windows shuttered, candles burning against nothing. It was not the law that brought Lavinia down, it was betrayal. A boy from the orphanage, dressed in a dead man's boots, whispered to a merchant what he had seen. The merchant told a magistrate, and like cracks in a dam, silence began to fail. Rumors erupted into accusations. Charleston tried to smother it, but by then, too many names of the missing were known. Records state Lavinia Fisher was tried and hanged in 1820. But in Charleston's archives, the pages blur. Witnesses contradict. Some accounts place her death in 1847, some in 1820, others not at all. One ledger in the county clerk's office lists her as released. Released to what, to whom? No body was ever produced. No grave, only stories. Legend says that when she stood on the gallows, Lavinia wore a white dress and a black veil, her eyes burning through lace. She did not beg forgiveness. She did not weep. She cursed Charleston, swearing she would never rest, that the city itself would choke on her memory. And when the trapdoor opened, some swore the rope snapped, her body vanishing into air. Decades later, men who had once lived in the parish orphanage, now old and brittle, spoke of her visits. They claimed Lavinia would come at night, not living, not dead, whispering lessons about obedience, silence, and devotion. They grew into men who worked as sheriffs, priests, judges. They carried her curse forward, woven into Charleston's bones. Every August, when the humidity weighs thickest, the bell of St. Matthew's sometimes tolls at midnight without a hand upon the rope. Locals say it is Lavinia calling, to whom no one asks. The ground where 6 Mile House once stood refuses to grow. Houses built there collapse in strange accidents, timbers snapping, walls sinking into soil that swallows foundations whole. The city quietly avoids development. In 1904, a priest who began reopening the Fisher records vanished. His cassock was found folded neatly in the church, beside a porcelain teacup filled with dark liquid. The papers he uncovered were burned. Today, Charleston thrives on tourism, on beauty, on forgetting. But those who walk King Street late at night, when the gas lamps flicker and the sea wind turns sour, claim they see a woman in white. She does not ask for money. She does not ask for prayer. She asks only one question: who will know if you do not return?